Hello and welcome. This is AlchemistExe, and I have finally reached the end of Chapter 5. Now, this is important because clearing 1 through 5 is how you unlock EX hard quests, and so that's something I've been wanting to get to pretty much since I started my account. And once they announced that they were going to double hard quests, it's not the craziest thing, it's just one extra shard, but nonetheless, I figured that was the right time to finally close the gap. Last time I made a video, I had completed Chapter 2, so in about a week or so, I burned through 3, 4, and 5. Not the most fun I have ever had, but I'm glad to be done with it. Now I don't quite have to rush as much. I've got quite a few units that I am looking forward to being able to very, very slowly, unfortunately, but raise. So other things for this video are going to be talking about Mercia, the new unit, part of the Ancient Dragon story. I like her kit quite a bit. Not enough to roll for her, but I do find her to be quite impressive. That's probably going to be a common thing, just because it seems like the level of power creep that Japan is in is noticeable. Seems like for the most part a new unit is going to be a good unit. It's just to what degree. And then I also am going to do some summoning, because I found a banner that suits my needs fairly well. And then I just want to talk about a couple of other miscellaneous topics. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at Mercia's kit. So, right out the gate, I'm going to say I find her kit to be interesting. The biggest takeaway you should get from Mercia's kit is that a lot of her attacks have a follow-up where she'll do an AoE around herself that heals allies. That is just great for sustain. She also can heal herself on her reactive. She just has a good combination of offensive and defensive utility with a little extra support on the side doing things like negating an enemy's overclocks. And then she can also heal status effects. So overall, just a pretty well-designed unit, and interesting because she scales off of P defense and M defense. So you could take advantage of units like Logi, Lucian to get her damage up even higher. It seems like for the most part she will excel the most in PvE content like Hell levels. That's why I decided to try her out in this. Really I just needed to do this map to get an essential piece of Tina's Job 3 equipment, because I'm starting what's probably going to be a very slow and painful process of getting the protagonist Job 3s. Man, when I did them in Global, I was like, I never want to do this again, but little did I know. So Mercia is a very expensive unit. I think that's a given. I don't know if every unit in Japan is now a 5-step unlimited, but certainly I would assume anyone related to the Ancient Dragon story is going to be, if not every unit. So that means you either spend a little bit of gems and maybe you get them, maybe you don't, or you save up a ton of gems and try and guarantee them. Hopefully you get lucky, but if you don't, at least you can walk away with the unit. So is she worth doing that? Honestly, for me, no, and I couldn't anyway because I don't have quite that many gems yet. But I could see her being a good carry unit for someone, especially if they want their really strong unit to be wind elemented. Like, say maybe they rolled their new account and they just happened to get her in the process, and then maybe also happened to pull, say maybe Tamus's Memento, and then suddenly you've got an all attack for wind support unit who can also just lower wind res, and then it doesn't take too long to get Chihaya all set up. You can lower slash res that way. Then you could make something work with that. So overall, I think she would be a perfectly fine reroll unit if you were so inclined. I'm not in that position anymore, though. I'm firmly locked into this account. But I definitely I hope they make more units like this, though, because just there's more to playing a game than just damage. And I really like it when they introduce either a cool new thing or a combination of things. And definitely being a damage dealer who's also a healer is certainly welcome. It's certainly very indicative of the power creep that exists in Tagatame, but honestly that's not really anything new. it's a gacha game, and it's a kind of an old gacha game, so that part is to be expected. So overall, though, I think the number one rule, though, is always, like, might not sound pragmatic, but you really should think with your heart, though. Like, if you're playing the story and you really like the character, you like what they're all about, you like their design, that's always going to be the most important thing. Because if you really only care about the numbers, the chances of you sticking with the game is going to be lower. Whereas if you're invested in the story, then that's gonna keep you coming back. I mean, that's the reason I'm playing this Japanese version, because I just got that invested into it. So with that out of the way, now I want to do some summoning myself, because while I don't want to spend the amount of gems required to get Mercia, they do have a wind elemented banner, and I am in dire need of a wind unit, because that is like the one thing I have not done offensively. So let's jump into that. So this kind of banner is a coin banner. It's the kind of thing that we've seen in global before, just the only difference is that it's element specific. I don't remember if they ever had those, but pretty simple. You get the coins on each step. There's a coin shop that you can get featured units. So it's a pretty risky move if you don't have any of the units, because you could very easily just have a dud run and then nothing to spend the coins on. That's a scenario I've described many, many times before. Luckily, in the case of this specific banner, Eulalia is one of the featured units. So I do have her, got her pretty early on in my account. So that means even if this is a complete dud, I'll at least have more shards for Eulalia. But I was hoping to get more limited win units, specifically ones that don't rely on really specific time-limited event rerun materials, which I would need for Eulalia. Same problem I'm having with Nimble. So generally speaking, you know, there's the tiny chance to get Mercia, Smire. I would definitely not mind getting like Najee or Kubera. Heck, even Ewan at this point. Literally, Eulalia is the only limited wind unit that I have. So anybody else to join that squad would be incredibly helpful. I will say that I'm not going to showcase all 5 steps, because 4 and 5 were duds. The only good thing that happened was that step 4 was a full refund for the Taga pay system, which I have to admit, I think I like it more than the discount tickets, because, well, if they gave a discount ticket every week, that can be really handy if you were planning on going multiple steps into a banner. Generally speaking, it seems like they don't give them that often anyway. So if they're not going to do that, then that loses out on its advantage, and then Taga pay is going to be better. Just because you're getting every single step discounted with that small possibility that you could get a full refund. So I've done 3 banners with Taga pay thus far in my account's history. So like 2 5-steps and a 7-step. And out of those 17 times, I've gotten the full refund twice. So not huge, but it definitely exists. And look, we have ourselves a featured unit, and it just so happens to be an old friend. So yeah, that definitely could have been worse. I absolutely love Najee. It's going to take a while to get him going, but he does have an EX hard quest, which was part of that whole thing to race towards getting those unlocked. I do need his memento and his VCR to get him to sheer map soloing quality, but overall, I'm okay with having that. So it ended up working out pretty well. I got my limited wind unit for not spending too many gems. So yeah, that's all for this week. If you're summoning, I wish you good luck, and I will see you all next time.